Good morning. Good morning. It is Thursday, November 19th, and we are looking at the markets here at Harvested Financial, bringing you the daily bread every morning live here on our stream. So, looking at the markets right now, the futures are down. The S&P futures are down about 22 basis points, as are the NASDAQ futures around 22 basis points. It's about 8 points in the S&P, so, moderate little drift down, nothing too serious. But one of the names that we want to look at today is actually going to be Sonos. So Sonos announced earnings last night, and I'm going to pull up some of the numbers from their report. Revenue came in at $339.8 million, which is significantly higher than the just under 300 million number that the street was expecting. I think we're seeing a lot of stay-at-home action here. Their speakers are fantastic. People love them for all the time that they're spending at home. Not a particular surprise to see this big jump, but much more significant, even 10% higher than what the analysts expected. A number of analysts have come out and suggested that there might be some potential upgrades here. So we're thinking that this potentially has some bullish leverage to run. The stay-at-home trade has been a popular theme that we've been talking a lot about here. So Sonos seems like a really interesting play on what we can do here. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen for everyone real quickly and price out some trades in Sonos. So Sonos is an interesting stock. This has been a relatively new listing. So we don't exactly see the same number of strikes that we typically might see. So, notice this option chain is actually much shorter than what we typically see in like an SPY or a QQQ. So there aren't necessarily as many different opportunities to trade here, but that doesn't mean we can't find something interesting. So I'm actually going to go ahead and look out all the way to January here. So I'm looking at the January 15th expiration. It's 57 days away. Implied vol out there is still elevated in that 69 range. The stock is trading up. It's actually up even more now, up 25%, $4, trading around 21.22. An interesting thing when you look at these names that have fewer strikes, another element to look at is the liquidity. So that's 15 cents wide there. Some of these richer options are going to be 30 cents wide, 35 cents wide. Here, let me highlight that for everyone exactly. So I'm looking at that 265 at 3. That's 35 cents wide. Our theoretical value is right there in the middle, around 285. So what are we looking at setting up in Sonos? I will actually just clear this and set it up for everyone on the fly. Because we're looking at a butterfly type position in Sonos. So we want to bet on this continuing to rise, but also take advantage of the relatively high implied volatility. I'm looking out to January because that'll also include some of those seasonal numbers. Sonos speakers make a great Christmas present, and we might see some additional sort of holiday shopping around there. So I'm going to set up a butterfly that's a little bit out of the money. So I'm going to look for something a little over 10% out of the money. It's actually not even that much out of the money now. Looking to the January 15, I'm going to sell 2 of these 22 half calls. And then to cover that, I'm going to buy one of these 20s, and I'm going to buy one of the 25s. So that gives us a nice defined risk play that still lets us stay short volatility and also target a little bit of an upside move here. So this spread is going to make its most money when stock closes around 22 half. And that max value of that spread is going to be, the max value of a butterfly is always the width between the 2 strikes. So the max value will be 250, meaning our max profit is that 250 minus the amount that we paid. Right now, this is trading around a 45-cent debit. But I will say this is, again, you've got to pay attention to these wide markets here. The bid ask on this spread is almost $1.05 wide. So where you're going to get executed here is really important. Taking advantage of spread books helps. Legging is one way to potentially get into the trade, but that does incur a lot of risk to potentially buy one call spread to sell the other call spread. We really like going with single trades to get sort of the best pricing on the whole package. So we might have this worth around 37 cents, but given those wide markets, I wouldn't expect to totally get executed there. I think, especially given the uncertainty, given the sort of turbulence that's settling down post earning announcements with a 25% jump, options markets are going to be a lot wider than they typically are. So we might not be able to get that sort of midpoint execution we're looking for, but we are going to try our best. Assuming we can pay, that's a little nickel over execution there at 45 cents. we can get this for $45 or $50, we'll take that $50 off the max profit of 250 in this trade. So, or off the max value of that spread of 250. So we could earn up to $200, a little less, 194 this is showing. But anywhere above 25 and anywhere below 20, we're only constrained at our max loss of the amount that we pay for that spread. So that's always true about butterfly spreads, that the amount you pay is the maximum you can lose on that spread in a long butterfly situation. So this has a slight bullish direction. So that max value at 22.5 is going to come a little less than 10% over where the stock is now. But it really gives us a nice sort of leverage play that benefits both from the volatility and from the direction. Max gain of almost $200 on this trade compared to a $45 or $50 capital outlay should Sonos continue to trend up a little bit and volatility generally settle down between now and January. So Sonos, to recap, a couple of the interesting things to pay attention to are the wide markets, the paucity of strikes. We have fewer opportunities to select and position ourselves here in these less liquid names. So you're really going to want to pay attention to that. Pay attention to execution, look for defined risk plays, and we're looking for a slight bullish move that benefits from that collapsing volatility. Otherwise, we have lots of other stuff on our YouTube channel, so poke around out there. You'll find our webinars here. You'll find conversations, podcasts, lots of different content coming on here. We're also building out our resource center. Check out our Twitter at harvested_DAF. Derivatives are for everyone. And as always, you can check us out here on the Daily Bread every day at 8:35 Central, 9:35 Eastern. So thanks so much for joining us, everyone. I'm Mark Phillips with Harvested Financial, and this has been the Daily Bread for November 19th.